For today, we're going to be throwing some parts back on this car and refreshening up this side here. I'm going to be putting both doors on, so we'll get to see what this car actually looks like with this side hopefully repaired and fixed. I should be able to get that new fender on, and then also I do want to clean up this rear back portion of the car because it is pretty dirty, especially down underneath in here. So I want to get this clean before I put that rear bumper on. We're going to start by removing both of these doors over here first. So we're going to get those off. I'm just going to do a time lapse, and I do have an extra set of hands too as well, so that way I won't damage anything taking these old ones off and then also getting the new ones back on. I'll just show you real quick how to remove both the doors from the side here before I go ahead and take these off. So you have 4 bolts over here on the outside. Once this fender is off, obviously we don't have the fender on, so you have 2 bolts up here, and then you have 2 bolts right here. You also have a harness release clip right here. This is all the wiring that goes to the car. This piece, you'll just get this lip. This lip will peel off, and then there's just a connector, and that just unplugs basically from right there. And then you'll have to come to the inside of the door too. And there's one bracket arm in here that holds the rest of this on. It's an Allen key right there. So that is everything that you need in order to remove this door. Just make sure that when you do remove these, you have somebody stabilizing the door from outside of here, because it will want to fall down on you, and you don't want to bend this or break it before you remove this. So I would remove this last. Just make sure that this door is supported. And then for the rear driver side, pretty much the same story. I just figured I'd show you how to release this harness on the doors here. So I have this rubber boot taken all the way off from the outside. It's removed. Now if you look at this, there's tabs in this. There's going to be 2 on the top, and there should be 2 on the bottom. So you'll have 1 right here and then 1 on the back side. And you can get to these just with your fingers. You shouldn't even need a screwdriver, but just come in here on each tab, push it down, and then you'll see that this starts to pull back a little bit, and that's what you want. So if I go ahead and do that with the back one, it's a little bit harder to reach. Push that down and then pull this back. So now we're released from the top. You can see that wants to come out now. So the bottom has the same thing. Those 2 tabs that just poke out, you just push down on them and this piece will pull out. So we're gonna go ahead and do that on the bottom side here, and then this should be free to get out from the door. Now with this piece removed, you can see those tabs on the back side that are the ones that hold it in. These are what actually lock it into place. But if we flip this over in order to remove this, you'll have this gray harness piece right here. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna come in here with a screwdriver right where this tab is, where my thumb is, and this will pry up on this gray piece, because you want this gray piece to be lifted up. And then once that's lifted up and flipped up, you can go ahead and pull this whole piece out, and it will disconnect from right there. Moving on to the rear one, this harness is a little bit different. This black piece is off, and I pulled this out of the socket. It's got these 4 clips, 4 tabs on each 4 corners of it. And then if you pull this out, there's this little blue piece here. In order to get this off, you're just gonna pull this piece down. And once you pull this down far enough, yep, just like that. So now that's off. So this door, we just have the main bolts, and then this door will be free too. Old doors are now off the car. I am gonna have to take the old brackets and swap these from this one onto my new one, as well as this piece right here. So we're gonna go ahead and take all these off and then throw them on our new car. Now we're going to take the old cylinder lock right here that was on the original door and swap it over into this new door here. Now I've ran into a little bit of a hiccup working on the rear door. I'm swapping over the wiring harness for the part that goes to the door for all the connectors on this. So this is the old one that's on the car. I'm taking this off because this was cut off directly. So I'm having to swap the one that was on the car that is good, and that harness will just clip right into the door with this one that's on here. So I have this all taken off. Everything is disconnected as far as it can go. And this very last wire right here goes way down underneath, and it's very hard to get to. I removed it from my other door, and the only way that I could get it out was by taking this whole piece off and actually basically breaking this part right here, messing up the window track in order to even get that clip off. So I have the other harness right here. This is what that clip looks like. There's just no way to get access to it from down here. It's so far deep in there. So what I'm going to end up doing is, to avoid not having to break anything on this door, because everything is good on this, I don't want to have to redo anything, is I'm going to go ahead and cut right here somewhere on this, and we're going to just splice directly into this wire. So I'll cut this end off, splice this wire into this wire, match it up, and that's how we're going to run this, so that way we don't have to fight with this or break anything. For this repair on the door, this is how we wired this up. I just have the quick butt connectors right here, and each one of these goes to the same color-coded wire, so that way everything is going to be lined up and the same way they went in. We're just going to go ahead and electrical tape this up and probably secure it down to this board a little bit better. I know I'm kind of all over the place for today, but I'm just going to be throwing on the Fender right now. So we'll get this put on here, get it set up, and see what it looks like. I still probably do need to pull this one section out a little bit here with like a winch or something like that, like I did before previously. But we're just going to test fit up my Fender and see what it looks like, and see if all these bolt holes will line up or not with that. Here is the Fender, just loosely mocked up on there. If we take a look here at the transition, so this is the new paint, this is old paint, kind of telling the match here to see how good it is. I like it. I mean, I like it. It's not perfect. You can definitely notice a little bit of a difference. This color does seem to be a little bit darker than I did, and also the metallic or pearl flake in it seems to be a little bit bigger and coarser than this one. Other than that though, I mean, you cannot tell unless you're pretty close up or in a different lighting where it shows that. Now that we're getting this back together, it's slowly starting to come together and look pretty decent. This whole side here is almost set up and ready to go, with the exception of a few minor tweaks here and there. But we'll need to figure out the headlight, get a headlight for it, throw this bumper on, and then we can kind of see what we have. I'm gonna work on getting this carnage off from this headlight that was smacked up pretty good. I'm just gonna go ahead and disconnect everything that needs to be disconnected, so that way this will be set and ready when I do put that headlight on. I did pick up another headlight for this. I actually got an OEM one, and it's also brand new, so that thing's gonna look freaking sweet on it. I do have a bunch of different plans for the headlights for what I wanna do with them. I'm gonna do some customizing and do some pretty neat lighting with them, but let's go ahead and get started with this. This is what we have from the car that we just took off. So I should have all of the wiring harnesses now that I need to run my other headlight. I have the main light right here. This is, it looks like one of the top running lights, I believe. And then I want to say there's one more. There should be a turn signal light in here somewhere. I'm sure I'll find that. So here's the new headlight that I picked up. This is an OEM headlight for this car. Still in the wrapping. I'm gonna keep this on while I install it. We're just gonna set it in place right over here on top of my new Fender that I painted, and just kind of do like a test trial fit just to see what this is gonna look like. The headlight's on there loosely now. I just kind of did a quick test fit on it, and even trying to push it and kind of maneuver it into place where it needs to be. We can still see that there's a huge gap here, and it's not quite sitting in here correctly. Now, Obviously the fender's in here loosely, and we're gonna have to do quite a bit of playing with that fender for all these holes to mate up and for the headlight to set in here properly. But we're gonna have to do a little bit of playing with that. I still do have a couple more pieces that I will need to attach to this bumper. There's a riveted piece that goes here for a bracket, and then there's also another one that goes right here on this side to connect it to the bumper. So I'll have to get those in place too, but once we get those on, we can throw this bumper on and then really kind of see what's going on here. This is my parts fender that came off the car. I need two pieces from this that I was talking about. I need this plastic piece right here, and then I also need this black piece right here. Both of these look like they're just riveted on. There's two rivets here, and if we go on the back side, this is where I'm gonna have access to hopefully getting those rivets out. I'm just gonna grind down those two metal rivets there, and that should allow that to break off and get free. This one over here, there's only one, so I'm gonna go ahead and take a Dremel tool and see if I can get these ground down. I was able to get both the pieces out. These were the two that I wanted and that I needed, just so I didn't have to reorder these online. So this small one right here is just gonna go in the front, just like so, and then this other one here is just gonna go just about right here. So that'll allow us to be able to connect everything. I just need to go ahead and pop rivet these, go ahead and rivet these into these setups again, and then they'll be all set. I want to get this car pulled out so that way we can get this whole rear trunk area cleaned up here. It is super dirty and filthy, especially back like in there. There's a lot of sand and just grease on here, so not a big fan of that. I don't want to put this rear bumper back on the car until we do actually get all that cleaned up. And with everything off, we obviously have a lot better access to cleaning everything up that I need to. I have all the wheel wells out too, so I'll give those just a spray down as well. Try and get some of that off before I go ahead and reinstall this back together. I just threw some tape down before I go ahead and put this bumper on. One of the first spots that the bumper is going to go on is it's going to clip into these rear quarter panels right here. And since I'm only one person, I don't want anything scratching on the actual rear quarter panel part when I go ahead and put it on, because I can only get one side on at a time. So I just kind of covered the edge right here so we don't get any scratches or chips on that. Other than that, we should be okay. We're just going to go ahead and rest it on and we'll install it. I'll just do a quick time lapse just to kind of show you it going on. Rear bumper is now on the car, and this is starting to look freaking sweet. I love how this is looking. This is where the damage was, in this area right here on this corner. That's where that rust spot was that I blended in this rear corner. There was also a bunch of scratches all the way down this wheel well right here from whatever it was that this scraped on this side. And go ahead and if we just take a look here, where I'm not able to see any one of those scratches that was in there. They were pretty deep gouges too. They went back quite a ways, so I filled all of them in, and this is the results of it. I also love the transition from here to here. The color's the same because this is where I blended it over here in this spot, but that looks freaking amazing. Taillights are now in. So, and I also have the carpet. This is all installed back in. Everything is nice and secured back here. I have a bunch of just other random parts in the back right now. But as far as this goes, everything is back on for the rear bumper. Wheel wells are in. Everything's bolted and secured underneath the car too as well. So successful rear bumper install. I have a couple more things to put on this car, but other than that, it's getting pretty close to having everything done and completed with all the body work.